my suggestion then would be to think about if I was going to ask him to canter, when would I do it? And that would be the same moment that you should be on there rising on the inside leg and sitting on the outside leg. Okay, that being said, let's just try to use that as a tool maybe and keep going here. Okay, so let's go back to where we were when we left off last weekend.
Okay.
We ended up with a really good jump.
Yes.
Because?
We had more speed and we had square turns, and I let him go.
Because you were responsible for
The speed and the direction, but not jumping.
speed, the directions, the tracks, whatever you want to call them, and the balance, right?
Yeah.
And the balance came from,
Straight.
getting him straight and on the right kind of turns to keep him straight. Hence on the right legs, or square to the jump, or however you want to say it. He was on his feet, so that's his balance. So we worked on the right speed, you knowing that he was straight and steering because you had him in balance between your legs and your hands for making your corners better and having the horse on both reins, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So your job is speed, the direction, and the balance.
Yeah.
All right? Okay. And then it's the horse's job to jump. Yep. Which he will do, execute beautifully, as we know, if you present him with your job well done.
Yes.
And even when you do screw up a little bit, you can get by with one oops once in a while because the horse has space because you don't let him down on your job, right?
Correct.
Okay. That being said, what are the things that Mel has to think about to do the direction? Other than square turns. We already talked about that.
I need to make sure I have enough space and I'm facing all the way to the end of the jump.
What is going to help you make the right path, the right direction? What do you have to
reins.
I'm sorry?
Both reins.
Okay, so what makes you have both reins? What do you have to think about? What do you actually have to do? You.
Ride for my legs.
Yes, we know that. What do you have to do to get the direction? See, I know you don't answer this because this is why I'm going back to this. This is what you forget about.
I have to look through my horse's ears.
Duh! Thank you. How did we not get this turn for so long behind this mounting block?
Because I didn't look through my horse's
Yeah, you didn't ride him straight here and then turn your head. You rode him around the turn.
Yes.
But you can't be out in front of him through the turn. You have to be on him in the turn.
Yes.
That keeps you here. And when you look through his ears, it forces you, Melissa, it forces you to stay here on the horse, which puts the horse on
Balance. On the rein.
2 reins, 1 on each side. That seems to be your thing, doesn't it?
Yes.
If I can get you to where you feel like you have both reins at the moments of the turns,
Yes.
and his head is in front of you, the old broomstick thing, right?
Yes.
Then the jump comes out so much better because you actually get to it,
Yes.
and then you can do the right speed, and your balance is going to be better. Okay?
Okay.
So your initial thing, the way you ride, you have to keep your eye up over his head through your turn. That's not to say you can't look ahead of yourself when you're at A, across the diagonal to see where the jump is for a second, right?
Yes.
Does that mean you turn your horse at that moment?
No.
No, you just turn your head, and then you go back to riding the horse to the jump. Now Mel knows where it is. Now you're going to show him where it is. You can't ask him at A, turn his head, look at the jump, and come back, because he's going to turn.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have to look, say, okay, if you can't coordinate that, you shouldn't be riding horses, right?
Correct.
So, or you shouldn't be jumping horses, I should say. So when you look at the jump, you make a mental note peripherally, or actually directly, and then back to peripheral vision, of where the horse is, and then you direct the horse through your turn with your legs, keep his head straight, give him enough space to have a good corner, he sees the jump, and then your speed and your balance are established, right?
Yes.
Okay. That's the way you have to think. It's very wordy, but
Yes.
you can do this really well. What happens to you is
I don't keep my eyes through his ears.
Right, so therefore he is not directly in front of you, therefore you have no idea where he is with his eyes in relation to the jump. And what does that make happen to you guys?
We freeze at the base, I stop riding, and
He freezes too. Yeah, because he can't get there in a balanced, secure way, so he starts to take over. And he's a good guy, and he either chips in or slows weight, he does something to save his own butt, basically, because you're not.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? This is not road science. I mean, brain science or brain surgery. It's just common sense. If the horse doesn't feel secure, it's going to take over and do its own thing if it's a good egg.
Yeah.
Well, good eggs just are hard to find, but they also have horses that start stopping, right?
Yeah.
And people say, oh, she dropped the horse on the fence. Well, what does that mean? That doesn't mean anything. That means that the job way back at A, when the rider would start to look for the next jump and then prepare the horse with doing their job, didn't do it. It's not usually the jump that becomes the issue unless you already have a stopper because he's learned.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you can even turn them around with good riding if you really always do your job. So it's a confidence thing. And that's how you get a horse to go from beginner novice to the Olympics. How do you get that horse to jump into that water bigger and bigger and bigger? It's the same principle. You always do your job, so he comes to the jump and he's not threatened ever. He just knows his job. But he's totally sold. He has no doubt, or would it even occur to him that that rider wouldn't put him there that way. Because that's the way it is in his life. That's how those horses, that's why people don't just get to ride all those horses, because it would violate that idea that I'm always going to do my job because I'm a good enough rider. So I think for that, you have to start thinking about when you go to these jumps, how successful are you going to be? It's totally up to you. I mean, there really is nothing else I can say to you.
Yeah.
So why don't we warm up over a jump? Which one do you want to do? You want to do the long distance down to the green and white like we did before?
Yeah.
Okay. I think the jump is just the end result of all of the stuff that you do, don't you?
Yeah.
As she looks down around the corner. Well, that's a new wrinkle. I actually like the departure and the end better than the beginning. That's the first time I've ever said that. Hey, the tape helped. You changed your diagonal when you looked down right away. You weren't seeing that leg with you, huh?
No.
Okay, I liked the away from the jump and the end up there really a lot. I mean, I loved it. You were ready to go to another jump. Better. And then that's a typical thing. If I'm ever going to see a horse sort of not do his job as well and the rider still be riding well, the first jump is sort of the loudest horse to get better. That's good riding usually because the horse sort of isn't warmed up.
Yeah.
What would you have done differently there?
I would have.
Warmed up?
Yeah.
So, what happened to your line or your steering, your getting there, your track?
Well, I had to change. I didn't have the same, first of all, I didn't have the same speed coming into the turn to go to the jump.
Bingo. There was nothing wrong with your track. It was all speed. That was a trick question. That's exactly the answer I was looking for. Good for you. But then again, I think when you asked in the canter, again, you kind of projected yourself out of the moment and you weren't really doing a transition.